The things that are really useful at a most basic level in terms of grading is to talk about warm and cold, because you do have, it's a direct thing that you have very tangible control over. Are we skewing towards the warmer tones or the cooler tones? And you can see that on the scopes and you can quantify that to a large extent. And then talking about shading and depth and layers of stuff that you can do with power windows. That stuff is things that you can really kind of get into with a director, with a client, between a colorist and cinematographer. And then of course contrast is the other big factor that comes into play. And you can be talking about overall contrast, or contrast in the shadows, or contrast in the highlights, and those relationships between shadow and highlight and mid-tones. And so those sort of things are all good to zero in on. But I think just as useful as any of that is the ideas of the emotion that you're trying to create with the audience. You know, what's the scene trying to actually get across? What's the project trying to communicate emotionally? And that can often be at least as effective as zeroing in on any of those specific aspects in terms of finding the tone of what you're trying to communicate visually. The key thing with reference images is you need to then zero in on what aspects of that reference image are relevant. You know, are we talking about the color balance that you like in that? Or is it the darkness of it, or the brightness of it? Is it the contrast of it, the lack of contrast? Beyond that, I think just talking about the meaning in things, and I often use this example that a director many years ago said to me, I want this scene to look like this song sounds. And I found that so easy to work with, because it goes straight, music communicates like visuals, like color does, on a very intuitive, emotional level. And so being able to tap straight into that through the music made that very easy to interpret visually.